Hi, good evening. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, perfecto.
but hang on. I
Yeah,
don't hear you very loudly.
let me turn my volume up. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Let's see here. How does that sound? Is that better?
No, still kind of muffled.
How does this sound? Hold on.
Hang on. Say it one more time.
How does this sound?
Erica, it's still muffled.
Okay, let me see. My
Let's
volume is
keep
full.
trying. Yeah.
Keep trying. I'm gonna keep trying. Let's see here. I have my volume on. Let's see. Let's try something. Trying my headsets again. Does that sound
It's only a little bit better.
okay? Let me continue to try. Hold on.
Yeah.
I hear you perfectly. Hello, hello.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, so
That's good.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to speak very loudly. It's just me here, so I'll speak extremely
Go.
loudly.
Do you have a presentation, like a PowerPoint?
Yes,
Do
I'm gonna.
you have it? Do you want to test drive it now since we're on
Yes,
early?
yes. Hold on a second. Let me close this so I can get to the big screen. All right. Do I sound? I still sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to. Where's the share my screen on this feature here? Let's see. Share.
No, everybody hates WebEx. I'm sorry. It's the one they
Okay,
give us for free.
it is fine. It is 100% fine. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, hold
Uh,
on. Hold on. What about now?
yes.
Okay.
And then you might want to adjust the view so that it's like,
How's
yeah,
that
good.
looking? That's better?
Yep.
Okay, good. So we're up and we're ready to roll.
Yep. And you can take it down for now.
Okay, I will do that. Let me get here. Close it. I'll minimize it instead of closing it. So I have to go back in and pull it back up. Okay, so I'll stop sharing for now. All right. How's everything going? Hello. How are you?
Hi, Erica. How you doing?
I, I'm well. It's good to see you.
Good seeing you as well.
I'm speaking very loudly. Sorry if I'm yelling, but I was testing it with Sean and she said I sounded a little muffled, so I want to make sure I'm speaking loud enough. Okay?
Yeah, it's a little muffled on my end too. But I can
Good.
hear you. Whatever volume you're using right now is working.
Okay, that's me talking extremely loud. So, okay, we're gonna work this out. Hold on. All right. That's still okay? Okay. All right.
I think it's a matter of just keeping that mic
Yep,
close to your
exactly.
mouth.
It's not a long presentation, it's a very short presentation, so I'll be able to get through it quickly. Are you being joined by other members?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There'll be we won't get started until 6:30,
Yep.
maybe sometimes it's 6:31,
I get it.
6:32.
I get it. I get it. People are getting
Uh,
off of work and people have to settle down and connect just like I do. So I
I
get
think
it.
when you're meeting from home, you feel like you've got that one more thing you can do before you turn your computer on. Let me just quickly unload this dishwasher and then I'll go sit
Yep.
down.
Yep. That's true. And then before you know it, it's like, okay, let me get it together. Okay. So I totally understand. Totally understand. And we're going to be joined by Yvette as well. She's supposed to be signing on as well.
Okay.
But we still have some time. So I'm here. Do what you need to do. I'm in the background. Whenever you're ready for me, it's showtime. Okay?
Yeah, and you're first on the agenda.
Not
Oh,
a
yeah.
problem at all. I'm here. Do what you all need to do. Okay?
Cool. Perfect.
All Hello.
How are you?
Good evening.
Nice to see you, Ms. McKnight.
You too.
We're expecting to be joined by several others.
Okay.
So we'll get started soon after 6:30. Ornella
Okay.
Parker, one of our co-chairs, is here.
Hello.
And she
And
runs
we
she
just
runs
lost Erica. She was here. I'm sure she'll
she'll pop back.
join shortly. There she is. And you're on mute.
I'm back.
And I know you're still in the office, so I don't know what's
It's,
happening.
it's gonna work out. It's gonna work
Anyway, I have a backup. I'm going to open up the
Mhm.
presentation just in case we
Yeah.
lose you, okay?
out. I have it here.
All right.
Yeah. Me and Sean and I tested it out.
And Erica, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
You're very low.
We just went through this.
Yeah, maybe when you signed off and came back in, the volume adjusted.
Let's see here.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think for Erica, it's the headset is muffling the sound a bit.
I can hear you all perfectly.
Erica, take off the headset and just because you're in the office by yourself, no one's around, right?
Can you all hear me now?
No, it's still the same thing. Okay, if this we're gonna have IT look at it to when you're back in the office, Erica. Because I know this is a problem.
We did our checks and balances and what about now? Nothing? You can't hear me? A little bit? Can you hear me a
No,
little bit?
it's still not. It's still not great.
Yeah, it's low and muffled.
Now?
No,
What is happening?
it's muffled.
Now? What about now?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Okay.
Loud and
Ah,
clear.
Okay. I'm over here trying.
what did you do?
I selected use the Realtek high definition audio.
And you're still kind of low, but it's a lot better.
Okay.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. I'll speak extra loud. Hello, everyone.
It sounds
Good evening.
real clear now, Erica.
Okay. All right. That's great to hear.
It is 6:30. Eric, I know you're first up, but we're gonna just give it a couple more minutes and then we'll jump right in, okay?
No problem at all. No problem.
6:32. What do you think, Ornella?
Yep, you ready to jump in?
I think so.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Community Board 14, Youth Services, Education, and Library Committee meeting this Thursday evening, May 21st. We have several agenda items. We have a presentation today on the capital improvement project at Erasmus High School. And I see Erica Porter's got her full headset working. We
I'm
hear her.
ready. I'm ready.
Yes. Houston, we hear you. Eric is here from School Construction Authority, and we really appreciate you guys coming. We're also going to have a presentation on the closure of the Midwood Library, and I see Rocky. Is that how I pronounce your name? I'm sorry, you're on mute. That's my.
Yes, that's
Great.
correct.
All right, wonderful. And so we'll be hearing about that right after the capital improvement. And our third agenda item is a review of the 2026 Youth Resource Fair, which we had in March. So we're going to talk about that. And then we'll all go watch the Knicks. I think that's on the agenda as well. So before tip-off is absolutely the goal. So just thank all board members who are here and members of the public. And you can use the chat if you have questions during the presentations, and we'll have some Q&A after each presentation, and then we'll move forward. So just welcome everybody. And I'd like to just start with, let's just get started. We'll hand the floor to you, Erica,
All
about
right.
the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Erica Porter, and I'm the Manager of External Affairs with the New York City School Construction Authority. Thank you for inviting us to your monthly meeting. I'm also joined here by my colleague. Would you like to introduce yourself, or would you like me to introduce you?
Hi, everyone. Since I unmuted. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you. Some of you again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Yvette Knight. I am the Director of External Affairs with the School Construction Authority.
Thank you, Yvette. So this evening, we are here to brief you on upcoming work that we have at Erasmus, the beautiful and historic Erasmus High School. Parks Department wanted us to brief the community board as well as the council member, which we previously did, on the work that we intend to do. So I'm going to share my screen and review the presentation, and then I'll open the floor for any questions you may have. Just let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet, Erica.
Okay. It says connecting.
Mm-hmm.
What about now?
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we have a presentation on the Erasmus High School. The building was constructed in 1905, and it is listed on the National Register of Historic Places.
Erica, I don't know if you can make this larger.
Sure. What about that?
Can you do the bottom and make it bigger?
How does that look?
No, it's about the same. Is that okay for everyone? It looks really tiny on my screen. Is it okay for you to see?
I can see it fully on my end.
You can see it fully. And we will send this presentation to your group afterwards. Okay for me. So then it's me. All right, great.
All right, thank you. So Erasmus High School is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So now I'm going to go through the presentation. So the scope of work for the project that we have upcoming at Erasmus is a parapet roof windows replacement, exterior masonry, flood elimination, and rooftop mechanical upgrade. The expected duration of this project is to last from 3.5 to 4 years. So it's a nice duration of time. Location by the Flatbush Avenue burial ground will include brick repointing and replacement, stone replacement, window replacement, replacement of the vertical kitchen exhaust vent, raising the areaway walls by 1 foot and replacing the grating. And the duration for this portion of work is 1 year. So I am going to...
Let me just halt for a second, Erica. So when we had put this presentation together, the goal was to identify what was needed to get the approval from the Parks Department. And so the Parks Department is located in the area that for which you're familiar. And this is the scope of the work in that location. The overall scope of the work, however, is what, as we determined here, as the overall scope.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm going to scroll
I'm
down. to the
sorry.
next-
Could I just, Yvette, could I just
Yeah.
ask a follow-up? If I'm understanding correctly, you're saying there's a larger overall scope at the building, but this location is just a year duration? Is that what you're saying?
That is correct. That's the plan right now. That is correct.
Okay, so
Oh,
the
right
work
here.
that's, I'm sorry, so the work that's happening is really just this year chunk that you're talking about now.
The work by the burial ground is just a year,
It's 1 year, right?
but
So
the
we're
overall scope is up to 4 years. We always want to caveat that though by saying if there is really bad weather,
mm-hmm.
there may be an impact to that schedule because, work on an exterior of a building is impacted by weather. And if we do, again, this is a historic building.
Mm-hmm.
If when we go to do the work, we may discover what we call unforeseens, conditions that we were not able to observe until we started the project. So all of that will have an impact.
Right.
But we do hope that that expected duration for both the work by the burial ground and the overall schedule will stay intact.
Right.
Great,
And
thank
we
you.
wanted to focus on this area because this is right near the burial ground, these several bullet points here. I'm going to move on to the next page, but I am going to increase it so you can see it a little better. Is that good for everyone?
Yes.
All right, so this is the area of protection. So as you can see, the African burial ground is this light green area on the upper right-hand side, which is lot 58. Our work is adjacent to there. This yellow area is phase 1. Phase 1 is to be completed within 365 days of the NTP. And at phase 1, we will be installing some protections, which I will discuss in the subsequent pages. Phase 2 is concurrent with phase 1 and is to be completed within 730 days of NTP. And NTP stands for Notice to Proceed, which is the contractual start date where the contractor can begin pulling permits. Phase 3, the green area, to be completed within 1,004 days of the NTP. And phase 4 is to be completed directly after phase 3. And just to make you aware, this project has not been awarded yet, so we do not have an NTP date. But when we do receive an NTP date, and I will send a construction notice to the community board to let you know that this project will soon be in construction. So the area of protection. So right here, you see the African burial ground where I'm making the circle here. Across from that is a red line. We're going to install 10 feet of protection in this area right here. This is an aerial view. From the top, you see the burial ground here. And here, 10 feet high fence protection. At this location where these red areas are, these rectangles, this is where the protection will be installed, 10 feet high. The types of protection that we will install. So temporary, which will be during construction, will be a fence, which is 10 feet high. And then it will be 10 feet from the base of the building. And then we're also going to install shed and scaffolding to protect the African burial ground.
May I just point out, as I mentioned, this presentation was about the burial ground, but this kind of protection, particularly a shed and scaffold, is very likely around the entire building. That is just normal protection when we do construction to protect not only the burial ground but the general public. It's like every project you see in New York City where there's construction on the building, you see a shed and then you see scaffold.
Right. And then also we are working on a solution to have the fence that we have here installed to remain so we can do future work as well. So we're working with Parks on that as well. And that concludes the presentation. So here's my information. I'm your External Affairs Manager. and my contact info. And Yvette, as she previously mentioned, is our director. And I will email this to the community board so you can keep it for your records. And that concludes the presentation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open the floor for any questions you may have.
It's great. Thank you very much for that presentation and the updates. I have one question. So the phase one is the African burial ground, and the hope is the scaffolding will go up. Will you guys put scaffolding up around the whole building, or just
Yes.
start with that? I mean, usually it goes up around the
Right.
whole project. So,
Yeah,
Anywhere
So-
we're doing masonry work will be protection, to protect the community, to protect the children, to protect the neighbor, the residents. So if we're doing exterior masonry work around the entire building and the roof, and protections will be installed.
God. And do you guys install, is it part of your protocol when you do it around the schools? Do you put lights on the interior, like
Yes.
yeah, okay.
So you can see as you're walking under the sidewalk bridging.
Yeah, especially with around the school.
It's a busy neighborhood. Very
Exactly.
busy community. Yes, very busy
Yeah,
community.
yeah, well lit. I think people would appreciate it. Well lit.
Yes.
All right, those were my questions right off the bat. But love to open it up if community members, comments, questions, board members, or I forgot. I also realized I didn't introduce myself. My name's Eric Ost. I'm the co-chair of the Youth Services Education, and Ornella Parker. Where she's my other co-chair. But
Hello.
sorry.
nice to meet you.
Nice to see you again. So, do we have other board members, questions or comments? District manager.
I did raise my hand over here, Eric. So beautiful segue. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Erica, for sharing that presentation. I just wanted some clarity. I know that the first phase is along the side of the African burial ground, but I know it's not necessarily regarding the African burial ground. So I might have missed this in the presentation. What is the work that's being done on Erasmus in that first 365? I'm sorry about that.
I'll share it again. That's fine. I'm going to share it again.
Yeah.
I think I closed it. Hold on a second. Let's see here if I can pull it up again. Yvette, are you able to pull it up?
Yeah, while she's trying to pull it up, I'll tell you what it is. It's pretty extensive. We're doing, we're working on the masonry. We're going to be replacing windows. And we're going to be working on the parapet. Let me see if I can.
I have it.
You got it?
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first page.
You got it.
The work near the African burial ground will be the brick repointing and replacing, some stone replacement, window replacement, and replacement of the vertical kitchen exhausts. So all of these bullets are near the burial ground, and the duration of that work is at least 1 year, given there are no unforeseen or no inclement weather, which will delay us from completing within our 1 year. But that is our goal, to complete this portion of work in 1 year.
Got you. And then I know that the 1 year is pending, I think it says NTP, notice to proceed. Is that already in place? Like, do we know what date this work will start then as a result?
So the contract has not been awarded at the moment. We're in that process right now, and that bid and award takes at least 3 months, and that's the process of publishing the project, the contractor being able to bid on the project, a bid opening, and then awarding the contract once the selected contractor's documents are found to be in order and everything is in place. So that process takes about 3 months.
Got it. So we're looking at probably fall, like when the new school year starts back.
Well, that's when the notice to proceed may be issued, but then the contractor has to go through the process of pulling permits. They'll be doing administrative work. So they'll pull permits and get approvals for the fence installation, the scaffold installation, the sidewalk bridge installation. So contractually and administratively, the project will be in construction because they have a start date, but you may not see any boots on the ground for several months following the notice to proceed. because it does
Gotcha.
take time for other external stakeholders that we work with to give us approvals to install that work. And then we have to mobilize and, work with the school on a mobilization date. So there are other moving parts that take place.
Got it. Thank you.
I want to add, I didn't give you the extent of the the work, and I don't know if Eric, I didn't see your share, Erica. It's parapet roof windows replacement, exterior masonry, flood elimination, rooftop mechanical upgrade.
Right.
It is a lot of work.
That's the overall scope of the project. And then the
Yeah.
specific work that's going to occur near the burial ground is the bulleted items.
Mhm. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's going to take it's 3.5, 4 years. We're going to make our business to stay on schedule and communicate with the school and communicate with the community and yourself, the community board and the council member. But it is an extensive amount of work, and it's much needed repair work that needs to occur at the school building.
Are there other questions?
Yeah, Eric, I see CB14 and then Yemisi. I hope I'm saying his name right. Yemisi.
Okay.
I'll defer to community. I'll go after all community members, if that's okay.
Or no, I can't see with people having their hands up.
Eric,
So
I would put
Yemisi.
the participants list up, and then you can see the names.
Okay.
Like the little person at the bottom, Eric. Like the
I
little
see.
human.
All right.
Yeah.
Yemisi here. Hi, everybody. Good evening.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I have two questions. One, my first question is an acronym question. NTP means?
Notice to proceed. That is an acronym which so the notice to proceed is a date that the contractor is given where the contract is actually awarded. It's the start date, the official start date for the project.
Fantastic.
That's when the clock starts.
Thank you for that. And then my other question, you may not have an answer for, and it's more of a curiosity question. Do we know, once the actual work does begin to proceed, how that will impact after school and school operations? Like, do we know how that will impact the children that are in the building yet?
Well, we do work with the school leadership to so we work second shift. We do not work during the daytime when school is in session. So there's no work from like 7 in the morning to 3:30. So we'll typically work second shift anywhere from 3:30 p.m. in the evening to 12 a.m. We do work during and through after school programming. But any type of noisy work, if there's any type of noisy work, that will occur after the building is vacant. So if there's still children in the school at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock instructional, we won't do any jackhammering or banging or anything like that. But we do work during and through after school programming, and we will coordinate with the various programs in the school and the principal.
Beautiful. Those were my only two questions, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. You alluded to it somewhat, but I just want to make sure that it's clear to community members that that there has been conversation with Parks. I was told by the Brooklyn commissioner that the timing of this project does dovetail just fine with their project, that they're not putting anything on hold. They'll be able to move forward according to their already predetermined timeline. But I also just would like some clarity, because I don't remember talking about this with Marty Marr, Commissioner Marr. Could you talk about the process by which the plans, like I know that there's an exhaust vent that faces out to the burial ground, at least that's what it looked like in your bullet points. So to what extent does your work and your plan, have you had to have a conversation with Parks about impact on their plan? Because their plan's already been approved, it's gone through landmarks, gone through Parks and all of that. So I just want to make sure that the projects are sort of working in concert.
Yvette, can you provide some insight on that, please?
The answer is yes. We are working incredibly close with them. They're aware of the nature of our job. They also are aware of our schedule. And just to give you a little bit more detail, because and we're aware of what they're planning and their plans as well. It may not be, their actual drawings, but we know that they have a plan there. And so there was a lot of coordination actually to allow us to start our work and for their work to follow. So yes, there is coordination between the Parks Department and the School Construction Authority, and a lot of collaboration to enable us to schedule this work and, with an agreement that they would follow with their work after we're finished. Did that answer your question, Ms. Campbell?
Yes, thank you. I thought it useful to have it on the record too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I do see the list. I'm not seeing any additional hands. Anybody? Other questions? Doesn't look like it. So thank you very much. We look forward to updates as it proceeds, and really, it sounds like it's going to be a beautiful, long-awaited overhaul. So, yeah, we're very early on, but I'm excited to see what it looks like. And it's always a big reveal. Those scaffolds sometimes feel like they're up.
It really
They're
is.
they're up forever, and then finally they come down. And you're like, oh wow!
And when they come down and you drive by, you're like, where is the school? Because you're like, something was here. Where is it?
Yes, we had a
But
long
usually
project.
The product is really quite beautiful.
Yes.
100%. At PS217, they did all this masonry brickwork or whatever, and it really looks beautiful. All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it and look forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you for having us. Have a great
Quite
summer.
a pleasure.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Take care. Good night. Take care.
Good night.
Thank you.
Okay, Ornella, I toss to you.
Yes. All right, everyone, we're going to keep it moving to our second agenda item. We have a presentation on the closure of Midwood Library by Rocky, but I also see Michael, I see BPL by you. So I'm assuming you might be tag teaming this with Rocky. So I would love to turn it over to you both, give you the floor to share your presentation, and then give you space to open up questions for any of community members and board members that are on. So I'll turn it over to both of you. Have a good, all yours now.
Thank you. Rocky, you want to introduce yourself first, and then I'll go.
Yeah, my name is Rocky Bhattacharya. I'm the branch manager of the Midwood Library, and we are currently closed.
And I'm Mike Fieni, Senior Director of Government and Community Relations here at Brooklyn Public Library. And maybe I could just say a few words about the closing project and some of our goals about interim programming, and then turn it over to Rocky to talk about the specifics. So yeah, we closed to the public on May 17th for some long-awaited infrastructure and renovation work. Rocky and her team is currently in there packing up the books and cleaning out the branch. So we'll still be doing that work on June 23rd when on primary day. And so we'll be able to allow the Board of Elections to come in and operate that building as they would normally as a polling site. And then shortly after that, we turn the building over to DDC. And so they'll take possession of it for the actual construction project. It's primarily an infrastructure project. So we're talking about the roof, the heating and cooling system, the exterior, which I don't know if you noticed, but I think you can actually see visible cracks in it. The building is no longer waterproof, and the heating and cooling system is no longer able to heat the building adequately in winter. We're still air conditioned part is working, but so these things are beyond their useful life. There's also some safety improvements that will go into it, some fire repairs, and it'll bring the building into our BMS Building Management System program. So we won't have to send a tech out if the building is too hot or too cold. We'll be able to simply make those adjustments. So it'll be easier to keep the building at the right temperature, we hope. And I think most visibly for the public, this will also include a full renovation of the second floor. So it's going to have more discrete areas for children. There will be a new multi-purpose room up there. There will be separate reading areas and computer areas. So I think very excitingly, the second floor will look beautiful. And Rocky, am I missing anything? Is there anything you want to add about the building project?
Not really. The outside brickwork will be, they're doing brick pointing outside, and they're also upgrading the fire alarm systems.
Yeah, and we're really excited for this work. I mean, the branch, it might not be the most obvious to tell, but it's in bad shape. It's been, I think, 25 years since we've done any sort of work like this, so it's definitely needed work, and we're excited to be doing it. And so I'll turn it over to Rocky in just a couple minutes to discuss the interim service plan that she's putting together to make sure that the library has a presence in the neighborhood in the coming weeks and months, and for the 2 years that we're doing this project. But just want to say that her goal and BPL's goal is the same, that we would love to open up a pop-up library somewhere long term, where we can offer holds pickups. This community really, utilizes the library for books, and it's hard to offer that service without a stable home. Otherwise, we can send the bookmobile out, but to offer like holds pickups, which this neighborhood really utilizes, we need a home where we can have like delivery access from our logistics team. So we're talking to some nonprofits about whether they can help us, but would welcome any suggestions from the board. We'll talk to anyone. Opening up this kind of pop-up library, it requires one of two things. It requires either like a free space or funding from an outside partner. The library budgets haven't increased in any significant amount in years. And so we're trying to increase the level of services that we provide when we close a neighborhood library for a renovation, but that has significant cost to it. So we are talking to private funders about this project, but if you know of any space that might be interested in welcoming us for free or for low cost, we'd love to hear about it. And even if you know of a place where we could just park the bookmobile in front of, that would provide bathroom access to our staff while the bookmobile is parked outside. We'd also take that suggestion. But Rocky, I'll turn it over to you to talk about the outreach to schools and everything else you'll be doing.
Yes. Well, we haven't completely determined a interim plan because we're still in the building packing up, and also because the school year is coming to an end. But we are going to be doing outreach to schools. There's quite a few schools in the area. One of the places that have shown an interest in a once a week program is Neshama Preschool. We also have another preschool, Jones PK Center, which, however, only invites the library in for special events. They have done so before, and we have always obliged them whenever they say, "Oh, please come in, do a program. We'd love to have you here." There are a few public schools in the area: PS 99, PS 152, and PS 193. We are interested in making school visits. They usually do class visits at the library, but since the library is not open, they can't do that. And we have to coordinate how to do school visits so we can visit the library, the school, and bring our all our goodies with us and have a blast with the kids. There's a family enrichment center. It's located on Avenue P and East 19th. It's quite a bit away from our location. However, they consider us to be the closest branch to their district or however they measure their area that they do services to. They are interested in collaborating with us. They want programs for various ages, and they're especially interested in doing community story time. Mommy and Me is the title that they use. We would love to use their space. It's very lovely. It's open to everyone. We visited there for a couple of times and had good vibes from the place. there's a Starbucks that's diagonally opposite from the yeshiva on East 16th and Avenue J, right next to the train station. We have done other programs in the past over there. We are familiar with the person who manages the place, and we can do like adult book discussions, poetry reading, or chess sessions there. The only problem with them is that they do not have a bathroom for the public. So even if you drink their coffee, no bathroom. There's an adult education school 6 located on Coney Island Avenue between H and I. We have had a relationship with them before. They have come to the library. We can also do a book club or a poetry reading there with their students. Their students are mostly come there for ESOL and adult literacy. So they're all adults. Another area that we've looked into is the Colbert Playground on East 17th and Avenue L, across from the Edward R. Morrow High School. We can do activities there with the help of our bookmobile if possible. Among the activities we're thinking of are storytelling, chess at the park. We have a collaboration with some Murrow students who are willing to teach others how to play chess. So we're hoping to include them in these activities. And last but not least, we have a friends group that is interested in continuing to meet while we're closed. And we hope to meet with them once a quarter, possibly at the Kings Highway Library. And hopefully other community members can join so that we can have a larger friends group. And that is all the activities that have been planned so far.
Thank you, Rocky. Thank you, Michael. I am going to open up the floor for questions from anyone from the board, public. As people are simmering with their questions, I did have one logistic question. In regards to timeline, I think I read, I just want to make sure I'm confirming my information. The duration of the closure is it 2 years? Is that accurate?
It's just, yes, we expect it to be approximately 2 years.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I am seeing a couple hands. I see Nikki, followed by the district office. Nikki, jump on in, all yours.
You're muted, Nikki.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, is it?
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, my yeah.
Was that an accident?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi everybody. I want to thank you for the presentation, and Rocky, it's nice to see you. You always do a really nice job of presenting to us fairly regularly at monthly meetings. My question is really directed at Michael, and I definitely don't mean it to come off as super critical, but I would say like it would have been so great to hear some of the things where you're searching for space or for community members to help find, ways to make sure that people who really engage with the library. It would have been so great to hear that like a month or two, or at a prior meeting, so we could have helped you. And I'm just sort of wondering, was this closure done sort of at short notice, or why weren't some of those things figured out more in advance? And again, I don't mean it to be super tough, but I feel like those are things that maybe we could have helped you guys figure out a little bit more in advance, so that the staff wouldn't be packing up books and also trying to find out this kind of stuff.
No, it's a very good point. And it's unfortunately kind of the way that it's worked at several different projects. you know, as we kind of heard in the last presentation about the notice to proceed, you know, we kind of stay open until we get this, until DDC's gets notified that they can proceed with the project, and then it ends up being a relatively quick procedure when we ultimately decide to close. It's not, you know, we have. You know, we presented to the board in, I think it was 2021, about the designs for the project. And in that presentation, we probably said that we hope the project starts in a year or two. But unfortunately, these things end up getting pushed back or moved out as like on the ground realities happen. And so we would love to be able to start planning these interim programs and discussions with outside partners sooner, but we don't necessarily have realistic timelines until right before the project kicks off. It's something that we would love to work on with DDC and try to do a better job there. But this will be a 2-year closure, so I think if we can find something, even if it's a few months after it starts, I think it still would make a big difference for people. And I do want to note, like, I guess the other part is that we don't have funding to do something. You know, it's that is also a challenge with this.
Thank you. That's really helpful to know that you're not in control of the sort of notice period. Dumb question. Maybe someone else has the same. What does DDC stand for?
No, it's sorry. I don't mean to. I should. That's
I Googled it, and I guarantee you what I came up with is
yeah.
not
Okay.
the Department of.
So
Department of Design and Construction.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Great.
Brooklyn Public Library doesn't actually handle most of our own capital projects. We work with the city to build them, and the New York City Department of Design and Construction builds the vast majority of library projects. Occasionally, the Economic Development Corporation handles our construction in smaller numbers, and in a very limited number, BPL is able to self-manage projects.
Thanks, Nikki. And there is no dumb question. That was very helpful information just now. And thank you, Michael, for sharing that context. I think I see Eric followed by the office.
Great, thank you. I guess I'm not sure if it's a question for Rocky or Michael, but what are the parameters or requirements for this semi-permanent hold pickup area that you would need? I heard you say bathroom. I'm not sure if that's a requirement, but if you're looking for a space or nonprofits, and I'm just what do you need? How much space? What are we talking about?
Yeah. So, you know, I think it's we're very, very flexible. There are some things that we're not flexible on, unfortunately. We do, you know, I think in almost every case, we'd want the space to be accessible. So that would be one thing. And then we'd also want the public to be able to have access to it without sort of any barriers. And so, you know, in neighborhoods where there's like NYCHA community centers, ultimately NYCHA community centers typically require people to sign in with ID, and that's goes against like the in many cases the library code of ethics in terms of providing free spaces to everyone. So those are kind of those are kind of two big ones. But after that, it's you know, we're pretty flexible. In Red Hook, we were able to open up a library that has a little bit of a browsing collection and a small story area and a small adult area. In Carroll Gardens, the community board actually had, they're in this big 5-story city-owned building that they occupy by themselves. And so they were able to give us a room there. And it's only big enough to hold books. So you know, I think we're flexible on what we could do. It just depends on what space is available. But I think for this neighborhood, we would want to prioritize at least putting some bookcases up and having a desk where people could check out books.
Thank you. That's good context. Sean, I promise I wasn't skipping over. I know you said you deferred to the board member in public. It's you next.
No, yeah, I appreciate that actually. Thanks. You know, I'm going to be in touch with other ideas as they pop up. So we'll reach out on like senior centers in the area, and I don't know if you reached out to Toro College as well. But I also have a practical concern because I forgot to ask in our previous conversations. But has there been notification, especially to the Waterfalls residents and to Yeshiva Flatbush, so that they're aware of the upcoming construction?
I'll double check. I think that we probably have, but I think DDC does neighbor notification as part of it because there's like construction fences and things like that that go up. But let me double check. It's a very good question.
Let me know if I could be helpful with that. And then is there going to be a community liaison from DDC on the project, or do we reach out to you all directly?
You could reach out to both, either way. But DDC definitely will. Their community affairs can also answer questions on the project.
Okay, thanks.
And the Toro College thing, making a note of that. That's a good.
Oh, I've got the guy over there too. He's a character, so fun to talk to. So, and hopefully we'll have a good answer.
I'm happy to answer any more questions, but if it's also okay, when we're done with them Midwood, if I give a quick announcement about Cortelu Library that I'm very excited about, but would love to answer any further questions on Midwood too.
Absolutely. I'm being a little biased here because Cortelu is my library. I am seeing a hand from Eric. So I guess Eric, ask your question, and then Michael, you can take it away to do your announcement for Cortelu.
I wanted to just make sure I had all the exciting additions to the second floor so that when we talk to community members and they know that it's closed for 2 years. So I got that you got, what's going on? You got new reading areas for children. We got what else is going on that new second floor? What can people look forward to? If you wouldn't mind telling us again.
Yeah, so it's going to be distinct separate areas for reading, for gathering, and for computers. And there will be a new multi-purpose room. I can put in the chat, or I can share with the renderings are actually on on the contractor's webpage, but I can share. I think it's going to look very beautiful. It's this, and there also is going to be the last picture that you'll see is some work that's happening on the stairwell. But you can see there's kind of separate areas. This will be the new multi-purpose room with flexible furniture. The entryway from the stairs with the self-checkouts, some stroller parking, and then some work to the stairwell too.
Great. That's nice. The renderings are really, really nice.
Yes.
All right, yeah, I'm excited to hear the announcement. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a sneak preview. It's not even on the website yet, but hopefully the Brooklyn Museum will be promoting it tomorrow. But on June 4th, from 1 to 4 p.m., the Brooklyn Museum is working with Cortelu Library, and the Brooklyn Museum is going to send its Museum on Wheels there. And in a very exciting partnership, the artist JR, who had an exhibit at the Brooklyn Museum before the pandemic, they had those photos outside the museum. Their mobile photo booth will be coming and taking large format digital photos of the neighbors of the library. And they will be wheat pasting them. They'll be printing them during the day and then wheat pasting them onto the side of Cortelu Library. So I'm going to share a picture real quick, if I may, of us. This happened this has happened all over the world, but this is a picture of the one in the Bronx of Fordham, I believe. And so it'll be like this. This is the vehicle. It prints the photos that day, and then they'll go right up. And so I think we'll have 2 rows like this at Cortelu Library, and we're very excited. There was the temporary blue triangles are coming down. That mural was supposed to last like 3 months, but it lasted like 16 years, I think, in the end. The artist mentioned when we spoke to her about it coming down that her son was 1 and is now like 16 or 17, or maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's something like that. But so she's so glad that it stayed up for as long as it did. And now we're going to put this one up, and this will also be temporary. We're very excited.
16 years temporary?
No, I don't know. I don't think this one will last 16 years. So, but yeah.
What is the date on this one?
June 4th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Cortelu Library.
That's coming up.
That's coming up. We're going to announce it. I think on Tuesday we'll start doing public promotion for it.
Oh, great. Okay.
But yeah, we'd love for you to come. We'll definitely send it to the board. And Yeah, we're really excited for it.
See what happens when you come to the board meetings. You get exclusive content before everybody else. Thank you for sharing that update, Michael. And thank you for also sharing updates about Midwood Library. Again, if anyone, I'm not seeing any other questions, but your questions don't have to end here. If you have any other questions, reach out to the office. We'll always find a way to connect you and get the answers that you need. So thank you both, Rocky and Michael, for that update. We are going to keep it moving. We appreciate you guys coming tonight and giving us all those details. It is appreciated. And we're excited to see what's to come. And hopefully we could help figure out a semi-permanent location to help out the Midwood branch. All right. Last scheduled item on our agenda is a review and a reflection of the 2026 Youth Resource Fair. The fair feels like it was a while ago, and now I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, that was only 2 months ago. So we are going to jump in, do a reflection. I'm going to share my screen just so that we have a visual, because I am going to ask for input. 1 second, y'all. Every time I have to share my screen, I forget how to do it, and I get anxiety ridden. So bear with me, everybody.
Deep breath.
Let me know.
There it is.
Thank you. Can you guys can see it? Yes. All right, perfect. So just put on your time machine, get in your time machine, fly back to March 11, 2026. We had our 19th annual Youth Resource Fair, formerly known as the Youth Conference. Next year will be the 20th anniversary. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That is major. So we're going to spend some time the next few minutes on this call just reflecting on things we should stop doing, start doing, and continue doing based on how this year's youth conference went. So let's just jump into it. There's going to be 3 categories of questions where we don't have to answer every question, but I'll just put them on the screen. And I am going to ask that anyone who's on, who has experience at the Youth Resource Fair, just share your thoughts, stories, feedback that you have as we go through. So let's just jump right into it. First set of questions is I always like to pause and think about successes and strengths. So there are 4 questions that should guide us in this area. Feel free to unmute and answer any of the 4 questions. I am going to read them aloud, but they're on your screen at any point, and you can answer them in any order or whichever feels most resounding to you that you really want to answer. The questions are: what went especially well during this year's Youth Resource Fair? What moments made the biggest impact on youth and families? Which part of the event felt most engaging or meaningful for the attendees? And what should absolutely remain part of the event for next year's 20th anniversary? So if you would like to share on any of these questions or anything along the realm of successes and strengths, please feel free to raise your hand so you can unmute and just jump in. And there definitely was successes. So
I'm gonna
let me
go.
see. I see.
I'm gonna jump in.
And then after you, Eric, Nikki, I do see your hand, so you are free to jump in.
All right. Well, first of all, I thought we had the event ran so smoothly. The office staff was amazing, and we had great volunteer support from the board. And I felt like it got set up really well. It came down it ran smoothly, and our lead up, coordinating all of our volunteer efforts and kind of having a pre-meeting was wonderful, and everybody really knew what to do, and I felt really good. So I just like our prep and process felt, after 19 years, we're doing, it's going well in terms of like logistics, and the team really just knows how to run it. And it was just like great energy there that night. And I felt like, personally, I was involved in outreach to the schools, and I felt like that had real results. We heard back from people, changed up some of our contacts at the different schools in the district, added some new schools, met some new contacts at the fair who said they would help out again, like a particular guidance counselor who was sending stuff everywhere and said, lean on me more next year. So I feel really good that we laid some groundwork, kind of revising our Rolodex, so to speak, and forging stronger connections again. So I feel like those will yield benefits again now that those people sent people. Those things tend to reinforce if they have good experiences. So I feel really good about that. And the board, we had people doing outreach and doing that. And my other two that I would just say that the two additions that I loved having the DJ, even just like the Bluetooth speaker. It just is like how if there's a dance party and people aren't dancing, and then somebody turns the lights down just a little bit and puts on the right MJ track, and it opens up. I feel like that it just added something that was good. And the other juice for that was the scavenger hunt, which I found, and Ornella, I give you a lot of credit for like really hustling to make that happen and put it together in a way that would be fun. But the number of kids who really just were like, I am going to do this and go to all these places. And I just felt like there were some kids, and it wasn't a ton of them, but there were some kids who stayed till the end because they were like, I am going to get every table, I'm going to get everything. And they just were like all in, and they kept coming back. They're like, is there anything else we need to do for this? What else do we got? I did this, I did the interviews, I did this. And so I just was like, those kids warmed my heart. And it was sometimes just those little activities. So I give you a lot of credit because you pushed hard to do that, and I just thought it had a lot of benefit. There was a lot of benefits to that. So those are my highlights. And all the board members who continue to step up and volunteer and also do the mock interviews. It just felt like so. Anyway, those are all my shout outs. I actually feel like I just got right back in the moment. I feel like I was just at the youth conference. So that's my shout out.
That was the goal, Eric. It was for us to get in a time machine and head back. So thank you for kicking us off. We have Nikki next, followed by Rolanda and Cassandra in that order. Nikki, all you.
Thank you. So I agree with many of the things that Eric said, and I also want to take a moment and really thank the district office staff, just because like you guys, Sean, you've listened to people discuss this event for 20 years. And like I started working on this in 2016, and I'm sure the number of times you've had people go, what if we had a map of where everything is? Like, so I think I really appreciate the office staff for always being so supportive, even though maybe you've seen some of these shows before. So what went really well, I felt that the representation of organizations this year, couldn't really tell you why I did not do a scientific analysis, but was very good. Like, it was very diverse. Nobody seemed like no one had like a sad table. There, every time, sometimes you go to a conference and like there's sad tables. Nobody, people came like prepared. They had their tablecloths, they had their swag. Like, people seemed to really, really good organizations showed up, and they showed up well. Eric, I totally agree with you. Like, I heard much more discussion in the preparation about school outreach. And while I cannot be certain, that was also my thought. I was like, this seems to have really paid off. I felt like there were numerous children who were there because the teacher told them to come, or they were there in the company of their parents. And I was really struck by the kids who were in the company of their parents. I felt many of them like, well, I'm sure that for them that was like annoying and slightly embarrassing. I think that really made a mark on me. I always think that the mock interview process is so great. And this year, like, I stepped in for a second because there was a young person who couldn't speak English, and so I speak Spanish, and so I did his whole mock interview for him in Spanish. And he's like a construction worker and a delivery guy while also being in high school. He was in a special program for young people who entered the country without documentation. Like, and asking him, what are your strengths? And he was like, I'm physically very strong. If I get hurt, I can keep working. But then also talking to him like, no, tell me more about yourself mentally, and being able to pull that out. I think that whole component of the fair is really meaningful. It's always hard to get kids to do it, but even if you only had 20 kids do that, I really think it's impactful. I also thought the scavenger hunt, I'm going to tell you, I was originally a doubter, but people love games, and they did. And I thought that was so great. So I think we should keep that. I think the other thing that struck me was you changed the name and nobody died. Right? Like, it changed to Youth Resource Fair, and I'm sure there was a ton of discussion about making that change, and like, oh, da, 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 da. And it was great, and I think is actually a much more accurate description of what this really is. So great job. And I thought those are my takeaways. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
We're gonna. Oh, I think, is that you, Rolanda, going?
Yeah, that's me.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And, I concur with things that already been said on this call. I thought the event was well attended. I thought the outreach was really, really well. There were a lot of different schools represented. I liked the family engagement that was done. I thought, parents came out with their kids. I was mainly in the mock interview room. I didn't get to see the scavenger hunt and all that good stuff, but I did hear the DJ, but in the mock interviews, I thought the people that was in the room, we really had really good, strong sessions with all the youth participants. They were highly engaged. Everyone, seemed prepared to engage with the students. We made them feel very comfortable. And then the students, kind of like how they came in is not how they exited out. We even saw like communication growths and confidence and a lot of eye contact throughout the activity with the kids. And, I think we helped build their confidence. And so engaging with the youth in the mock interviews was just a huge success. I don't know who was filtering students in the room or if they were coming in by themselves, but we just kept going and going and going. I think at one point I was doing 2 to 3 girls at a time. And that was just amazing. And overall, the event, I think created a very meaningful professional development opportunities and reinforced the importance of career readiness. A lot of, they also, we also had activations with them in terms of like giving them advice in terms of tutoring and studying and, staying the course. And so that college and career aspect came into engaging with them and those kind of like networking skills. So I had an amazing time. I would love to continue keeping that piece. I think it's amazing. I feel like, it was just well attended and everything went great. It was my first time kind of going to the event, helping even setting up with all the chairs. And oh my gosh, I did not realize it was going to be so many vendors. I heard the number, but seeing it is a whole different thing. And it was just really, really amazing. And I had a great time. Mock interviews was a huge success.
Thank you, Rolanda. If I'm correct, I think it was Cassandra. And I think that was it for this screen. Unless, Nikki, I see your hand back up. That's from before, right? Okay. Yep. Cassandra, you're next.
Yeah, just co-signed everything. It was really, this was my second time around. This was my first time really being involved with the mock interviews. And I do see the value of it. I was not aware of the scavenger hunt, but if that was the reason why more kids were coming, I mean, I was stopping them in the hallway, like, I know you're looking for the bathroom, but you need to stop here. But I do think that is something that is integral and would love to be able to, have more people participate in that.
I agree. Yes. Love that. Woo. All right. I don't see any other new hands for these group of questions, so we're going to keep it moving. We spoke about successes and strengths. So the next category of questions are challenges and areas of improvement. So we talked about all these amazing things that happen, but where are some areas that we kind of hit some pain points? The questions that are aligned to these are: what were the biggest logistical or operation challenges we faced? Where did we experience any bottlenecks, confusion, or gaps? Were there enough supports for youth navigation, crowdflow, engagement? What feedback or concerns did organizations and vendors share that you might have heard? And what should we begin planning earlier next year to give ourselves some more time? So again, you don't have to answer all of these questions, but you can answer whatever feels you most passionate about. And I already see some hands going up. Beautiful. Cassandra, did you just put your hands up for this one? I want to make sure I'm getting these right.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Hi, Cassandra.
So I do feel like we did have a good representation as far as vendors. I did have a question that will further along my comment, but how are we like assessing like attendance and um, gauging feedback from the participants and the vendors?
Is that when you say participants, is that you talking about like the youth or the vendors that were present?
Yeah, the vendors. I mean, the participants, like the students. Like, is there a way for them to submit feedback about the event? And is that the same thing that applies for the vendors as well? Um, if it doesn't currently exist, it definitely would be beneficial to kind of establish that going forward. I mean, I'm biased because my background is in data sciences. So I'm always trying to figure out a way to turn experiences into numbers. So
You talking my language. But yeah, that is a good question. I jotted that down for sure. Thank you, Cassandra. Rolanda, I'm not sure if your hand was up from before. If not, it's your turn and then followed by Eric.
Yeah, my hand may have stayed up, but I do have something to say.
Okay, beautiful.
So, what did I notice? I think there was a part with the food. In the beginning there was like a fruits and snack table, and I think a lot of the vendors was like going in and it was kind of meant for the kids. So there was like no watching at a certain point in the area for like, the kids food. I think that was the only thing though. Like, is there a differentiation between food for the vendors, snacks for the kids, and maybe tighten that up, having more people kind of like stationed over there? I think that's what I noticed.
Yeah, that's good feedback. To my knowledge, though, I don't know if that was necessarily an issue because at the end of the night, we were giving away boxes and boxes. I think I even had like a box of chips for like 3 months.
Yeah. I think
That I
the beginning
probably
just
finished last week.
But yeah, I think everybody was well fed. But I think in the beginning I was like, I don't know who's this for, and the vendors was taking it in. That's all I noticed though.
Yeah. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past the snacks have been open to anyone who's in the space. That's just how I've experienced it. But Sean, I see you. I don't know if that's a shake of the head. But please let me know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, there was pretty strict control over the snacks, like they had to have a ticket and stuff like that, but it did start feeling like it was extra work for not very, there was always plenty, so it felt unnecessary. And this time there was definitely enough so that when people were, it was originally meant for the student participants, but over the years it's kind of expanded so that everybody, because it's a long time to be volunteering. They have to get there an hour early. They're there, to the end. So yeah, it's sort of become more liberal in terms of sharing the food, and it did seem like it was fine, especially with the extra iftar boxes. There was plenty for everybody.
That is good context. Thank you, Sean. And then I think Eric and then the district office. Go ahead, Eric. All you.
I guess I had like some ideas, like feedback ideas. So I think I'll wait till the later slide.
Okay.
I think maybe we could send this along to the district, like these questions to Patricia, to Sarah, and say, ask them. Just solicit some information from them if there's ways, especially the logistical, operational. A lot of that is things that they've organized. So maybe we get their feedback. I know I spoke to Sarah at some point, and we were saying that one thing that would be good is to get the poster done a little bit earlier. Like maybe we can anticipate that we're always waiting for the SYP, but we know that they're going to extend it. I think at this point we know about when it's gonna whatever the deadline is for application. So I think we can kind of move forward with our date maybe a little sooner. And that brings me back to my extra shout out, which is that our poster was really nice this year as well. So yeah, maybe that a little bit early. That was something that she had talked about, and it just allows us to get more posters out and get our information out, more than with a little more lead time than we were able to this year.
Yeah. I think I see the district office, and then Nikki, I'm pretty sure that your hand just went up. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think a challenge this year that's going to be a challenge next year is that the funding for the event is really tight. And this year, the Y did it for nothing. I don't know if they'll be in a financial position to do it for nothing next year because they're facing funding cuts. COPO picks up the tab on other things that have to, be paid for. The tables and chairs are expensive. So if there's somebody on the board who can, who has a contact, we are going to talk about setting up a Friends of CB14 for some of this, but it doesn't feel right for a government office to ask community-based organizations for charity. It's supposed to go the other way around. So I just want to keep raising that as an issue because I don't know how much organization there's been in terms of reaching out to city council members. I'm not optimistic about a budget increase this year.
That is real. Thank you for sharing that, Sean. And that's good context. Yeah, because everyone's budget is super tight in the nonprofit world right now.
Can I ask a question just so we can put it out here? What did we spend, Sean? What were the costs? What were our costs? Like what kind of numbers are we talking about?
I should have prepared that. That was thoughtless of me. The printing, I don't remember the cost of printing. The Wise was supposed to be 1,200. The food gets totally donated. And the tables and chairs were about 1,000. It's about, if we, in the past, the space rental has been like 4,000. And so this has been like a $5,000 event in the past before we were just begging for free space. Yeah. So I can look at this year's budget and then I can look at past year's budgets, just so that we have that sort of history of spending on this.
That'd be great. I think that'll help. Great. Thank you so much.
Yes. Nikki, I think you're up next.
So, just to comment on that, thank you for sharing, Sean. And I think doing that kind of work, either seeking, first of all, in any NGO, or I know this is not an NGO, but if I come from the NGO space, board members have an obligation to help the organization find resources. So I don't see why that would be any different in this setting. And I would be happy to, if I think that's also a great volunteer role. Sometimes people are really interested in being at the event and stuff. And then other times people are interested in stuff like that, like trying to reach out to as city council members. So Ornella and Eric, maybe from the very beginning, when we start planning next year's event, if that's set as a expectation and a discrete volunteer role, just like planning the poster is a discrete role, right? I think we can totally help and figure that out. And also I personally love the idea of the Friends of CB14 entities. So anything that I could ever do to help with it, I think it's a really smart idea. For me, just, the youth attendance piece, it still feels below pandemic. So I agree with the thing about being data driven and just, that's our biggest challenge. We need to keep, if we want to create impact, that impact is measured in the number of young people who walk through the door. So keep working on that. Beggars cannot be choosers, but damn, that gym was hot. I know it was an unusually warm day, and this may be an element which none of us could have controlled, like a 70 something degree day in March, but it was quite warm. Food, I also think I shared it very, very late, but again, volunteering for this, I feel like we could have a wall of free food sponsors, right? Like people who are interested in a youth audience or want to give away, have fun giveaways for people more than the ones we already have. And I have some research that I've done on things like that for another youth event I work on. So I think I know that we talked about the food being a little bit of a problem this time, but I think if we had people donating food as a form of, and we could advertise that, it might also help with our youth attendance not problem, it might help with youth attendance. And then I just want to say, I think it's very important that people have roles. And I made a joke before about the map of the gym, but I swear to God, the map thing every year. And I just had a thought, which was literally someone could just make a virtual one that's linked to a QR code and it can be updated as we go or something. I feel like that particular task is somehow cracks me up. But other than that, I thought it went super smooth. Um, in every single way. And again, thank you to all the various volunteers, if there are any vendors here, and most of all to the district staff for the heavy lift.
Nikki, you literally brought me back to the hot gym. I totally forgot about that element of the night. And now I am in here burning up because I am reflecting back on how sweaty I was that day. But yes, I am not seeing any other questions. If you do have, sorry, any other responses, if you do have a response to any of this category, please feel free to unmute so I don't miss you. If not, I will move on to our next category of questions. Give it a second. 1, 2, 3. Not seeing any unmutes. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. I think this is what Eric was excited about when he said he had some ideas that he wanted to share. The next question is around how do we elevate the experience for the 20th anniversary? Something about that number 20 and thinking about like 20 years doing this work feels really like powerful and impactful to me. So there's a bunch of questions on the screen. Again, just like all the other category of questions, you do not have to answer all the questions. These are just guiding things to respond to, but I'll read them aloud just so that they're in the space and in the air. What would make next year's event feel even more exciting, memorable, or impactful? What new experiences, opportunities, or attractions should we add for youth? How can we better center youth voice and leadership next year? What organizations, industries, or opportunities we're missing this year? What would make organizations feel more connected and invested in returning? How can we better support youth in taking next steps after the event? And then the two bolded questions at the bottom. These are more like visionary questions. If you could dream bigger for the 20th anniversary, what would this event become? What is one bold idea we should explore for next year? And I will yield the floor. Ha, Nikki, I love that. I yield the floor to everyone on the call to share regarding any of these questions on the screen.
I think one of the things that kind of goes back to the last slide too, but certainly for the upcoming one, reaching out to the press and getting more press presence. We used to get like, Channel 11 TV would come. And so board members with press connections and community members with press connections, I think that would be good. And then one of the things we've done in the past, and I feel like we should talk about it every year. And even if we decide to not do it, I think it should at least be a question in our minds because we go back and forth on workshops. And in terms of making organizations want to do workshops, and in the past, they're a struggle sometimes to get the students in. So then we wondered if it was really worth it, but the organizations seem to like doing them. So that kind of goes to your fourth bullet point.
I love that, Sean. I actually been thinking about that because, like you said, Sean, a lot of organizations were asking, like, "Hey, are we going to do resume this? Are we going to do this?" And my brain went to maybe not a way of like using a scavenger hunt to include some of the workshops on there, even like our mock interviews, right? Like it kind of feels like sometimes pulling teeth. And if kids are like excited about it, we just throw that on the scavenger hunt. It's something you got to get done to be able to be included in the giveaways. But that's just a thought. But I agree with you. A lot of people had all these workshop ideas that I thought would have been so impactful.
We would do that. We used to do them both at Brooklyn College because there were 2 floors. And so there was like the tabling space, but then there was the big room for workshops and then the downstairs room for the mock interviews.
Yeah, I love that. I see Cassandra. Rolanda, your hand is up, but I'm not sure if it's up from before. So I'll go Cassandra. Rolanda, if you want to share anything and your hand is up, please feel free to jump in after Cassandra.
Yes. So I do feel like the workshop might actually work because we did have a good amount of kids who kind of had like dedicated the time to be there. Like they had went to all the tables, they did the mock interview, but they still didn't want to go home. So I think that might be a way to, get the organizations more involved and tied into it as well. Also, some sort of way to kind of like do like a check-in so they can get credit for attendance. Because I know a couple of organizations, they bring their kids there and they get credit for attending the event. But I'm pretty certain kids could get credit, more kids could get credit for attending this kind of experience. So that would be tied into a sort of a check-in and like maybe a certificate of participation. Because I mean, people love to get certificates. I know kids do, so they would be engaged in that regard. And also tying into more of the youth-based organizations, um, such like boys and girls clubs, and things of that sort. Because we do have like in the area, we did have the biggest Boys and Girls Club in Brooklyn is like down the street from the event. And I had reached out
If
to
you
them
mean
when
Madison, they're invited every year. Madison
I know,
Boys
but I
and
know
Girls.
the people at Madison. So then when I spoke to them and they were like, oh yeah, we saw it, but like no one like really spoke to us about it kind of thing. So I do know I do I do
Cassandra,
know the
get on
people
that.
at Madison.
Hey,
So
We'll drag them back.
yeah.
right. So I think again, the idea of making like expanding on the scavenger hunt to be able to make it more desirable for participation, and also just given a basic certificate of participation or something along those lines would also be encouraging as well. And I mean, as far as making it a bigger thing for the 20th anniversary, like you attended the 20th anniversary of the CB14 community, youth resource fair, like something along those lines to make it, and in tying that in with getting more press to the event to be.
Yeah. Love it. Rolanda, if I'm skipping you, please unmute. I don't see your hand anymore, but I'm gonna go to Nikki next.
Thank you, Arnella. I really like some of Cassandra's ideas. I wasn't kidding about Mamdani. I know that inviting a big name or somebody, just like a big name, I know that inviting a big name person can be a huge pain in the chukkas that comes with that. But I do think we deserve a visit from someone fancy. It could be Barack Obama. I'm not kidding with that at all. Like asking someone of that caliber to show up because that would also help with some of the press coverage. Cassandra, like I in my work life work on something every year that's a really big youth event that has anywhere between 500 and 1,000 kids from 80 countries. And there are the one thing that they love the most is certificates. It truly crosses borders and cultures. Like young people love certificates. We do something, we use a service. It does have a cost. We could approach them to see if they would be willing to waive the cost, but something called Credly, where they can actually link it to a LinkedIn profile. So it's like a verified thing. It's not just a paper certificate, but young people will go very far for a certificate. And then also for that same initiative, I've worked for the last few years with the Youth Advisory Council. And it took some time to figure out like what is a way to have a youth advisory council where young people, it's productive for everybody and we have an amazing rhythm, right? So like being on that youth advisory council, first of all, it's very selective and competitive. It's not like please help us. It's made to be a prestigious role. And then they have incredibly discrete tasks that become visible at the event. So one of the things that they do, first of all, they help design, like there's always stuff in the event that are like the workshops that Sean is talking about, these sort of side pieces. They take a lead role in designing what those are going to be, and then they usually make them come to life and they get a role being on stage, right? Because then they have some skin in the game. If the room is empty, that's kind of going to be their fault. So I would love to talk more about, and I know that in the past the community board has tried to engage with the youth leadership council sort of structure that the city has, but I think just for this event, as part of that school outreach plan, we could reach out to schools and say we're looking for 5 truly outstanding youth. Like we could reach out to every school in the district and be like, nominate a young person for this incredibly prestigious and meaningful role. And then it's competitive, which makes it fancy. And then we can design a very easy but meaningful set of tasks for the Youth Advisory Council to help us do. And I think that could be great. Yeah. So Barack Obama or Mamdani, one of those certificates, Youth Advisory Council. To help with any of them.
And I would also throw in as well to also in that area to engage some of like our local influencers
Yeah.
of the youth, because I know that my nephews and them know there's a couple of them that in the area that do like vlog and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So if we could get someone like that I think that will also bump the youth attendance up because they speak their language.
Yeah. Thank you both for that. Just giving you guys some context, I love the inviting someone major and especially the local influencers. We have a lot in our area, by the way. Like if you're on social media, you see them all the time. And I don't think it would be a major ask having them come out, especially because that's who the youth tap into. I did speak with, I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, Donovan at the borough president's office, sharing that, hey, we missed them this year at the youth resource fair. He let me know that he was attending to attend. He never put it on his calendar. So next year we're going to make sure it reaches his calendar. But I want to give you guys that update so that you are all in the loop. And hopefully if we can get in touch, because I know, Eric, you did an amazing job with sending emails out to him in the office to get the youth resource fair information shared out across the city. And I know that
he
didn't.
replied, but I don't know for sure that he sent it. I don't have confirmation of the send, but he definitely got the request and replied to the request.
Got it. Okay. So I think just doubling down on all those avenues. And then Nikki, to your point around like reaching out to local schools, I think we did a great job of updating our Rolodex this year. And I'm wondering next year if a major way of doing that is like actual school visits. As like a school leader, I know that sometimes emails and calls get lost, but I'm wondering if like personal visits to even just the schools in our community and speaking to whoever is available just to get more traction for some responses would be helpful, because there's no reason why we're not getting like all the students from Midwood, all the students from Morrow, all those areas in the space. And I feel like in the past we have. So I just think it's retapping into those relationships and rebuilding that connection. And then I saw a bunch of things come up in the chat.
I'm gonna go.
I have my hand raised.
Yeah, go ahead, Rolanda. So sorry.
I know. I was just thinking, tying into the scavenger hunt idea and getting the students more active, including the workshops a part of the scavenger hunt. But I was also thinking, could we do like with the all the vendor participants do kind of like a $20 for 20 years kind of like donation, a 20 for 20 fundraiser with all the vendors and the partners that support the event, and then tie it into the scavenger hunt, and then tie it into giving the kids prizes like like a scholarship or something. Like all the 20 for 20 money goes and is being donated to one or two or five students that finish the scavenger hunt, the first five or something like that, depending on how much we could get from the vendors. But I think like a $20 for 20 years fundraiser kind of thing. And then the proceeds from that go to the students that kind of win the scavenger hunt.
Sean, I don't know what that looks like. Is there any stipulations around like getting donations from?
We're a city agency office. We cannot currently raise any funds. We cannot ask anybody for money. If there's a Friends of Community Board by then, which I doubt there will be, it takes about a year to incorporate and all of that. That would be a different story, and we could have that conversation then. But we are, as a city agency, prohibited from doing that.
Okay. Because it's not like we're keeping it, like we're giving it to the students, So
if one of the nonprofit organizations could facilitate it, something like that, but no. But then I think that's gray area, and I think it would have to be very carefully designed for my own. I'm the one who'd be on the hook for any conflict of interest board issues. So for me, it's tricky, and it's a government office, and government isn't supposed to be asking for money. So unless you're the IRS.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I figured there was some stipulation there with like taking money from organizations. I do think it's still a good idea. So I put it down, Rolanda. I don't know how we could bring that to life without it being a conflict of interest. Speaking of which, there's a conflict of interest workshop coming up at the borough president's office on June 4th, I think. So I think it would be a good place to like get some more information before we move forward. But thank you for sharing that, Rolanda. I did jot it down in the notes. I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. I think it's Eric and Trixie then.
Yeah, this is a shout out. There's been some great brainstorming and big ideas, and I like bold. Mine feels a little less bold, a little sticky notey. But in terms of feedback board, one of the things we had for the map was, we started putting all the organizations up, and you could see where they were, right? There was the in process, little visual map. It is not that big, so I'm always like, this a map for everything you can see in front of you. But the idea of feedback is school kids are very used to like writing little feedback on sticky notes and doing it. This is like a classroom procedure that every kid would recognize. So if you have put this in the parking lot, every kid would know what we're talking about. If we have like a big whiteboard that just says like, resource fair feedback, and you just have sticky notes where we have a little place where kids can pick up a note and give instant feedback as to what they liked. We can have a couple of like easy prompt questions like, what was the best table? What was your favorite table? What did you wish was here? What did you do? Whatever. It could be just a couple of prompt questions. And then you just collect all those sticky notes, and you have them in a couple of colors. Kids love to put them up, and it looks like this fun thing at the end that starts to fill. So anyway, that would be in terms of collecting data. There's been lots of discussion about how we collect data or feedback afterwards, and there's lots of things we can't collect and can't do, but that is something we can absolutely do. And you can even put it on the scavenger hunt. Did you give feedback? So that's what I would suggest for the kids in terms of feedback. And I do love like a little, a little thing. Again, this is all cost related too, right? How do we get these things? And budget was at the beginning of this conversation. But if that little certificate, I like kind of what Nick's saying, and like you came, but on that little thing it says we came. Your next task, pay it forward, tell a friend, or we give a little sort of like, what do you do next as part of that, and on it you could write like, this counts as service credit. One of the things we did write in the outreach to all of the schools was, hey, please pass this on to your student councils. Please pass this to the student government leaders, let them know. And also, if encourage your teachers, because this email went to the principals and guidance counselors, like encourage, if you can encourage students to go and provide them with service credit for going, this could be that ticket. We can't give the kid service credit, but if you give them that certificate that says I went and, thanks for coming, this is what, I think that little certificate as an exit ticket. And what Nikki was saying, I don't know what she's referring to, but that you can connect it to LinkedIn and it like prompts like, hey, I attended this. And so something like that feels like a really easy giveaway for us. Everyone's giving away swag at the tables, and that feels like a nice one to pay it forward. Last thing I'll say is so many things were decimated by COVID, institutions, habits, and family get-togethers. I mean, the decimation was real. I feel like last year was a huge step in the parabola up, and these are the kind of things that are community momentum based things. So I feel pretty confident about groundwork we laid, and we had good weather, and there's other factors, but anyway, just another shout out that I feel like we did pretty well, and we keep going. So
yeah,
that's my
Eric,
piece.
you said that yours was small, but that is major. Like, I think that's an easy thing we can do that will literally elevate the space and the experience. So I think Sharon, don't ever like diminish your thought. That was a big idea. It will make a big change.
I just personally like the idea of big idea and little sticky note. I think I just went with I liked the imagery of that. I actually thought it was a good idea.
Thanks, Eric. Trixie, I saw your hand up. All you.
Oh my gosh, I don't even know how to follow that. That was like poetry, honestly. But yeah, that was great. But yeah, I thought the school visits, everything, like literally everything, ditto what Eric said. I think, yeah, putting the feedback request on the scavenger hunt could be a cool idea. Like tear this off and put it in the bin or whatever, you know what I mean? And then, oh, the school visits. I was just wondering if there's a way. I know some of these schools do like honor clubs or like key clubs, like they get service credit and stuff in the community. And I was wondering if maybe that is something we could offer as well. I do like part-time work with this nonprofit at a private school, and they do that. So I was just wondering if that's something that we can do.
That is a good question. I think we would have to connect with the schools directly to find out how that works, because the schools are responsible for, they like have forms they have to fill out with like hours and things like that. But again, I was in Key Club, I'm not even gonna say the year, decades ago, so I don't even know if those things have changed, but definitely it's an easy question to ask schools and directly the clubs, like what the stipulations are. All right.
Students used to come with forms to sign. We used to sign a lot of forms, and I don't know. I thought it was maybe something that changed at the school that but because we didn't advertise that we would sign off on these forms, they would just show up and say, "Can you sign this form?" And we'd say, "Of course we can." But maybe putting it in the invitation letter too, if they do offer it, or just figuring out what the policy is at the school currently. Schools.
I think we can move that up in the outreach message to the contacts at the school. I think we could move that forward and say we're happy to sign off on service credit. Like just kind of forward that piece, and maybe so that moves to the top of their mind, not just like
Because
spread
it's
this in.
definitely still a thing.
That's
For
what I was gonna
sure.
ask Sean,
For
because
sure.
I thought
Honor
it was.
Society. Absolutely. Kids are still
Okay.
getting service credit for different clubs. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, y'all. We are coming to the very last. We kind of already spoke to some of these questions, but I'll just leave these up if anything else pops in anyone's mind. It's just like impact and outcomes. You naturally already started having these conversations. Did the event successfully connect you to meaningful opportunities and resources? What evidence or stories show the event had an impact? And what outcomes should we measure more intentionally next year? I'll leave these up here, but any final thoughts, feedback, questions, anything you want to put into the space, this is the time to do so before we close out for this portion of the night.
I just wanted to add really quickly. I don't know if we had like a performance. Again, I was in a mock interview space, but for 20 years, we should have something like a big bang, right? So a performance piece by a chorus or a step team or a band, a drumming band or something, like something with a big bang for the 20th anniversary. I think would be a nice touch. And, I could reach out to a couple of youth groups and things to make that happen possibly.
Yeah, that's something else that used to happen again at the Brooklyn College venue, because there were, separate spaces. So in the workshop room, it'd be like workshop performance. And so certainly something to consider bringing back as part of that, or a separate room that's just a performance room.
Okay. That is good context. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Rolanda. Any final thoughts? Trixie, is that a new hand or that's up from before?
Oh, sorry.
No apology. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Okay. I am not seeing any other thoughts or questions. This is not the end of the conversation. I do want to say an immense thank you to everyone. You guys can't see my note catcher on my end, but just know that I have about 4 pages of notes now. So thank you guys a lot for being so thoughtful, so open, and sharing not only just feedback, but also like thoughts to elevate the experience. I'm super excited for the 20th anniversary. And I can't wait to see what our conversations yield as a result. And I just want to echo something that Eric said. We all know the impact the pandemic had on all spaces, not just the Youth Resource Fair. And I do think we are in an upward trajectory, and I just want us to continue the momentum. So I am really thankful because your willingness to be in this space and share your feedback to not only continue the great things we're doing, but also like improve it is gonna help us continue to move in the right direction. So again, I always appreciate you guys. And I think we start off by saying, like, our volunteers and our board, our members are what makes the event amazing. So thanks again, everybody.
Hey,
and go ahead,
one last thought. A good place to sort of scope for performers or other vendors is any of these street fairs that you could volunteer for as a board member to sit at. There's some coming up this summer. I sat at one at the what was the first one we did? It was the church app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh man, it was great. I felt like I forgot to say it at the meeting, but I couldn't feel it was so nice. The people who came up were very engaged. You know, I felt like I was able to tell a lot of people about the community board who were like, this is, you know, really interesting. But it was also just great to be at the fair and you see these other vendors. So there's several of them I saw, and Nicole and Ornella have done a really nice job putting together opportunities and leading that. So that would be a really good place to get some ideas and think about this. So I recommend volunteering at any of those things coming up.
And Eric and Ornella, if I could also just sort of a housekeeping reminder to members of the community who are not also appointed board members, there is an opportunity to join committees as a public member of that committee. And, you know, should you ever wish to join the board and you have that experience, it's a you know, it's a foot in the door, and it certainly is appreciated because this especially is a committee that does a lot of work. So the more the merrier.
Can I ask a question on that? How many meetings do you have to attend? Is it 2 or 3 until you can be appointed a public member? Just one?
Just one.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So if you are on this call and you are not a board member, but you would like to be a public member, you are now eligible. And I do see Cassandra has a little guy there. You can be 16 years old and be a member. So he's got a way to go, but maybe he's got a big brother or sister would like to join. So yeah, if you're on this call and you would like to join, please let us know.
Yes. I love that. Thank you, Sean, for that housekeeping. That was literally the last item we were going to speak about. So you nailed it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was beautiful. You said it more eloquently. I was going to read from a script. So that was beautiful.
But how do you go about doing it though?
Email the office, and then we pass it on to the co-chairs, and you know, then they get approval from the chair. It's pretty informal.
Yeah.
Info at CB14.
Brooklyn.com.
The email is going into the chat right now. Before you get off this call, fire that email off.
But also you got the link, so you also have it through the link that you used.
Yes. Oh, it's great. I hope that you do, Cassandra, like have you official.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Shall we call it 8:10? Thanks everybody for attending Youth Services Education Libraries Committee meeting. And I don't know, will we have another one next month, or this is our last? This might be our last.
This is it. This is how we wrap it up the season. And I don't know. I think this is for you, Eric. Nikki said, "Go Knicks." So I think that's the closeout for you.
Guys, if you did not watch Game 1, there's nothing. The pit is not better than what happened on Game 1. So tune into Game 2. Let's go Knicks. I mean, what else can we do? Civically, let's get together around these hoopers. But yeah, so excited and just grateful for everything everybody did this year. And we have the last board meeting on June, the main, our usual monthly meeting. So I'll have reports. If you have additional ideas, please come share them. And we will be in touch and reconvene in September.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.